Every civilization runs on a single, invisible thread: belief. We believe that the digits glowing on our screens mean something. That our cards will swipe, our rent will clear, our paychecks will arrive. We believe that what sits in our account is ours, waiting for us whenever we need it. But what if one day that quiet faith vanished? What if the system that holds your savings, your home, your future simply stopped working? This isn't a doomsday fantasy. It's a story that's already been written again and again across history. And it always begins the same way, with silence. Imagine opening your eyes one ordinary morning and feeling something. No alarms, no explosions, no warning. Just a strange stillness. You pour your coffee, turn on the news, and the headline makes your stomach drop. National banks closed until further notice. You grab your phone, open your banking app, it doesn't load. You refresh again and again. Nothing. Outside, the ATM has a paper sign taped to it: out of service. The grocery store down the street refuses your card. The gas station won't take digital payment, cash only. Your landlord shrugs and says transfers aren't going through. Rents still due. At first, you tell yourself it's temporary, some software glitch, maybe a cyber attack. Surely they'll fix it by noon. But as you step outside, you can feel the air tighten. The usual rhythm of the city has changed. People are standing in long, nervous lines outside shuttered bank branches. The sound of conversation is replaced by quiet panic. Supermarkets are packed, carts overflowing, aisles stripped bare. Everyone is paying with the last wrinkled bills in their pockets. Credit cards are useless. The television drones on about an emergency review of the financial system. And suddenly, reality hits you like ice water. Your money, your savings, your safety net was never really there. It existed only as numbers on a glowing screen. And that screen has gone dark. It feels like the start of a dystopian movie, but this story isn't fiction. It has happened, not in forgotten corners of the world, but in countries that once called themselves modern and stable. And when it happens, it doesn't unfold gently. Life doesn't slow down, it breaks. Argentina, 2001. The year trust died in Buenos Aires. After years of reckless borrowing, political corruption, and IMF bailouts, Argentina's economy was bleeding out. Citizens rushed to pull their savings from banks, desperate to convert pesos into dollars before the next devaluation. Money was fleeing the country faster than the government could print it. So the politicians made a choice, the kind of choice that feels surgical from the top, but feels like betrayal from the bottom. They locked the vaults. They called it El Corralito, the little corral. For ordinary Argentinians, it was a cage. Withdrawals were capped at 250 pesos per week. Dollar accounts were forcibly converted into depreciating pesos. In a matter of days, decades of savings, money for weddings, homes, retirements, lost half its value. The middle class, once proud and secure, poured into the streets banging pots and pans, chanting through tears and anger. They weren't protesting politics. They were mourning trust, the trust that had evaporated overnight. That's what happens when banks close. Money doesn't just vanish in theory, it disappears in practice. Bread, milk, fuel all become luxuries. Stability becomes memory. Cyprus, 2013. A small island, part of the European Union, supposedly safe under the euro's shield. Then came the news: the banking system was insolvent. A bailout was coming, but not for free. Accounts were frozen. Every deposit over 100,000 euros was to be restructured, a polite word for seized. In one night, life savings were confiscated to rescue the very institutions that had gambled them away. Businesses couldn't pay employees. Retirees couldn't access pensions. Parents couldn't pay tuition. The wealthy found loopholes, the average citizen found locked doors. The message was clear: in a crisis, the hierarchy of protection reverses. The system saves itself first and you last. Lebanon, 2019. Years of corruption and fiscal decay finally caught up. Banks began rationing access to deposits. People were allowed to withdraw only a few $100s a month, no matter their balance. The anger didn't stay polite for long. Bank branches were stormed, not by accountants but by the desperate. Some carried paperwork, others carried weapons. Behind the chaos was one unifying realization: what people thought was their money had never truly been theirs. Even the United States, the land of "it can't happen here," learned this lesson the hard way. In 1933, as the Great Depression devoured confidence, President Franklin D. Roosevelt declared a nationwide bank holiday. For 4 days, every bank in America was closed. No withdrawals, no transfers, no paroles. Imagine that, a world power pausing its entire financial system just to stop it from collapsing. Only after the government inspected and reopened certain banks did the panic subside. But by then the illusion had already cracked. Even the strongest economy could be brought to its knees by fear alone. And through every one of these stories runs a single thread. Banks don't hold your money the way you think they do. They operate on fractional reserves. For every dollar deposited, only a small percentage remains in the vault. The rest is transformed, lent, invested, leveraged. It becomes mortgages, business loans, government bonds. It circulates through the veins of the economy, multiplying itself again and again. If you deposit $1,000, perhaps $50 stays put. The other $950 becomes someone else's loan, then someone else's deposit, and then someone else's loan again. Out of thin air, your $1,000 turns into $5,000, $10,000, a ghost network of promises stacked on top of one another. It's a system that fuels growth. It's also a house of cards. Because if too many people ask for their original 1,000 at once, the illusion collapses. The vaults are empty and confidence, the invisible glue holding it all together, shatters. That's why governments, when panic hits, don't rush to save individuals. They move to protect the structure. When Argentina froze withdrawals, it wasn't out of cruelty. It was survival. If people had continued pulling money out, every bank would have failed in days. When Cyprus seized deposits, politicians called it tough medicine. But medicine for whom? Ordinary citizens paid the price for the recklessness of bankers and policymakers. This is the uncomfortable truth. The financial system isn't built to protect you. It's built to protect itself. So, imagine that morning again, not in Argentina, not in Lebanon, but in your own city. The same phone that once showed your balance now shows an error message. The same card that once opened doors now buys nothing. The same system you trusted has gone silent. How long could you last on what's in your wallet? A week? A month? Could you buy food? Pay rent? Would your savings still mean anything if access to them was gone? This isn't paranoia. It's perspective. The global financial system is a confidence machine, and confidence is a fragile thing. Once it breaks, wealth doesn't evaporate, it simply moves. It flows, upward, inward, toward those who built the system, not those who live within it. That's the nightmare no one wants to believe until it's too late. And yet, history keeps whispering the same warning. From Buenos Aires to Nicosia, from Beirut to Washington, it has already happened. And the pattern is always the same. Banks don't fail because of bad luck. They fail because of how they're designed, to stretch trust to its absolute limit. And when that trust finally snaps, everything you thought was real, money, security, normalcy, reveals itself for what it truly was. A story. A story we all agreed to believe in. Until the moment the belief disappears. It always begins quietly. You wake up to headlines that don't make sense. Banks temporarily closed. You refresh your banking app, but it refuses to load. The ATM at the corner blinks red, out of service. Shops are open, but they're refusing cards. Gas stations demand cash. Your landlord shrugs and says transfers aren't working. You tell yourself it's nothing, a glitch, a delay, maybe a power outage. But as you step outside, the air feels heavier. You see lines of people forming outside darkened bank doors, faces pressed to the glass, waiting for something that will never come. At the supermarket, carts overflow. Shelves empty. Customers clutch their last handfuls of cash. The hum of conversation turns into the murmur of fear. On television, newscasters speak in that trembling tone that says everything is not fine. The financial system is under emergency review. And that's when the truth sinks in, your money isn't where you thought it was. It's not resting in some vault, waiting for you to claim it. It's code. Data. A fragile illusion held together by confidence. And confidence has just died. The screen has gone dark, and with it, so has the promise that your wealth was ever real. Argentina, 2001. After years of reckless debt and corruption, the government was running on fumes. Citizens raced to withdraw savings, converting pesos into dollars before another collapse. Then the doors slammed shut. The government called it El Corralito, the little corral. But for millions it was a cage. Cash withdrawals were limited to 250 pesos per week. Dollar accounts were forcibly converted into devalued pesos. Overnight, homes, retirements, and businesses lost half their worth. Middle-class families, once the picture of stability, found themselves pounding pots and pans in the streets, demanding justice that would never come. It wasn't just an economic breakdown. It was a collapse of faith, a moment when an entire society realized that their money, their trust, had been a mirage. Cyprus, 2013. A small island in the European Union, seemingly secure, shielded by the euro. Then came the announcement: the banks were insolvent. The European Central Bank would rescue them, but at a cost. Every account was frozen. Balances above 100,000 euros would be restructured. In plain language, seized. It wasn't billionaires who suffered most, but ordinary savers. Shop owners, retirees, parents paying tuition, all woke to find that their life's work had been siphoned away. The state called it necessary. The people called it theft. For the first time in modern Europe, citizens learned a brutal truth: you don't own your money, the system does. Lebanon, 2019. Years of corruption and fiscal decay finally came to collect their debt. Banks imposed capital controls, limiting withdrawals to a few $100s a month, no matter the balance. But hunger doesn't obey limits. People stormed branches with guns, not to rob but to reclaim what was already theirs. "We just want our money," they shouted, a cry of despair echoed across Beirut. In a country once proud of its banking tradition, faith turned to fury. The system hadn't merely failed, it had betrayed. America, 1933. Even the United States wasn't immune. In the depths of the Great Depression, panic spread faster than any virus. Depositors rushed to withdraw savings, and banks began collapsing one after another. President Franklin D. Roosevelt declared a nationwide bank holiday. For 4 days, every bank in America shut its doors. No withdrawals. No paychecks. No transactions. Factories paused. Families waited. And the entire nation held its breath. But Roosevelt wasn't just buying calm, he was buying time. Time to stop the dominoes from falling, to prevent the system from eating itself alive. Because when the banks fail, governments follow. And both know it. The truth is simple: banks and governments are bound together like bones and muscle. One cannot survive without the other. Banks need governments to enforce confidence, ensure deposits, and guarantee rescues. Governments need banks to fund their deficits, buy their bonds, and keep credit flowing to citizens. When panic comes, they close ranks. They protect each other, not you. You, the depositor, the taxpayer, the believer, are left standing outside, waiting for an explanation that never arrives. Deposit insurance. A comforting phrase that hides a painful reality. In the United States, the FDIC guarantees deposits up to $250,000. It sounds reassuring until you remember that the insurance fund is a fraction of total deposits. If every American walked into a bank tomorrow demanding that money, it wouldn't exist. The fund's real power isn't financial, it's psychological. It's there to calm you, to keep you believing. It's not armor. It's anesthesia. When banks freeze, the economy doesn't slow, it stops. Digital payments fail. Salaries are delayed. Factories can't pay for raw materials. In Lebanon, manufacturing halted because companies couldn't send dollars abroad. In Greece, 2015, people stood under the scorching sun for hours just to withdraw 60 euros a day. Weddings were postponed. Surgeries canceled. Students pulled from schools. Access to money became a privilege rationed by the system that had caused the collapse. We call ourselves modern, cashless, convenient, efficient. But every new layer of technology has made us more fragile, not less. If a bank freezes your account, your wealth is locked. If a server fails, your payment vanishes. If a government flicks the wrong switch, your financial life evaporates in seconds. The illusion of control has never been stronger or more dangerous. In a digital world, the bank shutdown isn't a ghost from the past. It's a future waiting for its moment. Once the flow of money stops, everything else follows. Businesses can't pay employees. Suppliers can't deliver goods. Investors panic, selling assets for scraps. Retirement accounts shrink overnight. The government scrambles to restore confidence, but each day lines grow longer, patience thinner, hope fainter. And soon the chaos spills beyond economics. People hoard food. They barter, riot, revolt. This isn't a theory, it's a cycle. From Argentina to Greece, from Lebanon to the United States, The script is always the same. And the last words before every collapse are always identical. It could never happen here. Let's stop pretending. Banks are not vaults of protection, they are vaults of control. They don't exist to secure your wealth, they exist to secure themselves. When the strain begins, they will sacrifice you to survive. It's not malice, it's design. Because banks are not separate from the state, they are the state's lifeblood. They channel the flow of credit, tax revenue, and political control. They are arteries of civilization, and when they clog, the body dies. When Argentina froze accounts, people didn't just lose money, they lost trust. When Cyprus ceased deposits, they didn't just lose savings, they lost faith in Europe. When Lebanon collapsed, people didn't just lose currency, they lost citizenship. And when America fell in 1933, an entire generation learned to fear debt, to hide cash in jars, to never fully trust again. Every collapse rewrites behavior. Every betrayal leaves scars that last decades. In truth, the financial system doesn't need to explode to fail. It just needs confidence to die. Banks don't collapse when vaults are empty. They collapse when belief is. The moment faith cracks, the countdown begins. And when a government finally declares a shutdown, the mask slips, revealing what was always true. Banks were never neutral. They were never your guardians. They are extensions of power fused with politics, corporations, and global markets. You are not a client. You are a participant in a system that survives only as long as you keep believing. History doesn't repeat perfectly, but it always echoes. Argentina, Cyprus, Lebanon, Greece, the United States. Each one thought it was immune until it wasn't. The message is the same: do not mistake access for ownership. If your wealth exists only on a screen, dependent on a password and an institution's permission, then it is not truly yours. Real financial independence begins when you build outside the illusion, when you own things that cannot be frozen, erased, or redefined by decree. Gold, land, assets you can touch. Diversified holdings across borders, across systems. That's not paranoia. That's preparation. Because when the system falters, and one day it will, the question won't be, what if the banks shut down? It will be something far colder, far more urgent. What do I do now that they already have?